Hello everyone and welcome back to my vlog channel. It's been a crazy couple of weeks with this whole coronavirus thing going on, but now I am safe in my own home and I hope you are too. This week this is going to be vlog number 7 and we are going to be talking about chapter 4 in reading pop culture, as well as chapter 5 in the rhetorical act. To begin, we'll start with the rhetorical act, and the chapter begins with defining the purpose and basis of an argument, and has two elements: the claims and reasons or justifications. And the idea was written by Campbell, Huxman, and Burkholder on page 107 if you want to follow along. It stresses the importance of having a clear and concise claim or conclusion as an assertion to better shape and distinguish the point of one's argument. So, for example, if you are arguing something and you don't have a clear and concise idea or claim, no one's going to understand what you're talking about, and more than likely your argument will fall through. They also talk about the reasoning behind authorization and practicality of the argument being made. Within the chapter, it also discusses the types of issues brought up in arguments as 3 types of questions: the quality, accuracy, and adequacy of the evidence. It also talks about the types of reasoning, just to name a few: the enthymeme, induction, deduction, causal, and analogy, and as well as the dimensions of rhetorical action, the discursive and non-discursive links of purpose, argument, structure, language, and evidence, and of course the strategies of proof. So rhetorical questions, affirmatory, enumeration, refutation, definition, enactment, and turning the tables. So that is a quick sum of chapter 5 in the rhetorical act: thinking, speaking, and writing critically. And then now we'll move on to reading pop culture, and this week we are talking about chapter 4. So chapter 4 is about music. How does popular music reflect and express our identities? There are a few essays that we are going to go over this week, but just to give you a quick rundown about analogies, which ties into these essays. If you don't know what analogy is, analogies are a comparison between two things, typically for the purpose of explanation or clarification. These analogies are used for different purposes, whether it's for literature or when talking face-to-face to prove a point. Writers use analogy to link an unfamiliar or new idea with common and familiar objects. So this makes it easier for you and I, when we read, to comprehend a new idea that's introduced, which may have been difficult for us to understand. While reading chapter 4 of reading pop culture, the essays all talk about stories or essays in relating to music in some kind, whether it's hip hop and love songs, which is the first one, etc. While referencing the use of analogy. The first essay we'll be talking about is by Pamela Hollander, and it's called Elevate My Mind: Identities for Women in Hip-Hop Love Songs, which I already said. So her focus is obviously about, women in hip-hop love songs. She goes on and talks about how even though men and women are quite different in the hip-hop love song world, they are all writing about the same thing. No matter if you're a man or a woman, you still identify with the music and the theme of love. That's basically more times than not, if you're listening to a song, it's about love between two people. And then so that's basically what she's talking about in the first essay. And then if we move on to the next essay, which is written by Will Wilkinson, it's called Country Music: Openness to Experience and the Psychology of Culture War. Quick fun fact: I actually enjoy country music. I know a lot of people don't, but I think it's a really great genre to listen to. So if you're ever open to listening to a genre that you're not well inclined to, go ahead and take a listen. So country music: openness to experience and the psychology of culture and war. This is, he's basically writing about his love for country music. Wilkinson expresses how country music is one of the realest genres out there when it comes to music because it shows part of the world how it really is. Like, there's no way about it. It's just flat out, like, this is the way it is. This is our world, and you have to accept it. He describes country music as a conservative idea that brings society back into a view of traditional ideals of family, tradition, and togetherness, which I agree with. Every country music song, or every country song that I've listened to, it's kind of brings you back to, like, more of a traditional time and just about having a good time, stuff like that. He believes that country music functions in part to reinforce in low openness individuals that the idea of life's most powerful, meaningful emotional experiences are precisely those to which conservative personalities living conventional lives are most likely to have access. So he thinks that individuals that are kind of inclined to the openness part of life, they're the ones that get the most out of the songs and out of the genre. He closes with explaining how country music is what life is really about, which I also agree with. It's just basically about saying how it is, singing about life and everything that's within it. The next essay we will be discussing is written by Leslie Anderson, and it's called Seduced by Perfect Pitch, How Autotune Conquered Pop Music. So she actually welcomes the idea and topic of autotune to pop music. She explains how when people find out that their favorite artists are users of autotune, which most of them are, it doesn't shy us away from it because we still crave their connection, not perfection. So she just explains how we don't, like, if we find out they're using autotune, we don't really care because we still enjoy the music and we still enjoy their performance. Almost everyone who claims themselves to be in the pop music genre, they affiliate themselves with autotune to correct their pitch, sound, etc. It's known in pop music that you should sound perfect, which is sad because not everyone is perfect, but sometimes the most realist sounds are the ones that we enjoy the most. It's somewhat sad, honestly, to think that these artists are so insecure with their own sound that they have to turn to autotune, and no one will ever get the chance to fall in love with who they really are and what they actually sound like. So that was Seduced by Perfect Pitch. The last essay is written by Tina Vasquez. It's called Rifts of Passage. And she begins by explaining the diversity between music, and I completely agree with her idea. I love that she talks about how there's many different genres within music, and there's something for everybody. It ties cultures together, yes, and music is an outlet for creativity, and it makes people feel at home. Even though these 4 authors talk about completely different topics regarding music, one's talking about hip-hop and love, one's talking about autotune usage, pop music, culture music, they're still supporting the general theme of identity, spirituality, technology, and inequality. They're using music to branch out into different genres and still come back together, the idea that we're all together in one and we all enjoy the same thing, and that is music. So that is chapter 5 of the Rhetorical Act and chapter 4 of Reading Pop Culture. Come back for the next video and we will talk about the next chapters in each.